Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on the SME instrument. We're going to start, and I'm passing the floor now to Gregor Novak. He is with EASME. He's been working on SME instruments since 2014, and he's responsible for the topic of space.
Thank you, Anna-Catherine, and welcome everyone. Good afternoon from sunny Brussels. We've got wonderful weather today, so it's also perfect time to start the webinar on the SME instrument from the offices of Space Tech. I've been working with EASME and the SME instrument from the very beginning in 2014, so I think you're going to be in good hands with me. Just a few technical information for you. I'm going to do a short presentation, after which you'll be able to raise your hand and ask a question. You have a small button on your bottom right corner, which says raise hand. And after the presentation, you can click it and I'm going to unmute you. So you'll be able to speak. For the moment, everybody else is muted and I cannot hear you for the moment. I'm the only one that is able to speak and you can all hear me, I hope. So let's start with the short presentation. SME Instrument is a program that has been in action since 2014, as I mentioned before. Basically, it's a 3.2 billion program within the Horizon 2020. And it's intended exclusively for the small and medium-sized enterprises in the EU and associated countries. I'm going to first give you a couple of examples of companies that have been very successful in obtaining it and actually spreading the news about the SME instrument itself. But the most important, they were able to either raise more money or became very successful after the project concluded or has been running for some time. Let's go. These projects are not necessarily connected with Copernicus because SME Instrument in the past had topics, and one of the topics was also space. So space was not limited exclusively to Copernicus, but it was more broad and it included everything that had to do with either Copernicus or Galileo. And that was also mentioned in the work program from 2014 until end of 2017. As of 2018, we don't have any more topics, and it is completely open bottom-up program, a part of the Horizon 2020. I'm going to explain a little bit more about the program itself later on, but first I just wanted to present a few of the successful companies, as I mentioned before, that are within this program. The first one is a company called ICEYE from Finland, from Espoo. And the project itself is about microsatellite radar network for fast update Arctic ice surveillance, as you can see from the slide. They are with us since 2015. They were successful in phase 2, cutoff of March 2015. We have 4 cutoffs per year. And they requested 2.4 million euros for the grant. So why I'm mentioning this company, you've probably heard about it in the news in the last couple of weeks. Among others, they were very successful in securing additional fund from the venture capitalists. So in 2017, in September, they secured 1.2 million in funding from additional funding from European Seraphim Capital. You can read a lot of information about the company itself on iceye.fi. And also you can search for the project itself. The project is also called ICEYE on our data hub. If you just Google it, it's EASME SME Instrument Data Hub, and you're going to be able to find all the projects connected with space and with all the other topics as well. Basically, the project is, as as the name mentions already, it's Earth surveillance project, and it was developed first for the Arctic ice surveillance. But basically, a few weeks ago, they successfully actually launched several microsatellites, and they are already providing the services about the surveillance to the public. The second project, that is also a very successful one, is connected with infrared cameras. The company First Light Imaging created under the name of the project Okamir, the world's fastest low noise infrared camera. They're located in Meyreuil, near Marseille in France. They were together with us since December 2014. They have applied for the cutoff of December 2014, and they secured 0.6 million euros. What is interesting for them is that they won the first Prism Award for Photonics Innovation in 2016 with the project and with their Red One camera. You can look for more information about the product itself, the project, and other products they're developing on their website. You can see it on the slide that I'm showing. They already finished their project, and they're a very successful company that continues with the range of products that they have been developing. The third company that I would like to present is an Italian company that was also in the news lately. They come from Milano, from the north of Italy. Actually, they have their legal offices in Milano, but their premises are a bit more north towards Lago di Como. The company is called The Orbit, and they have developed a smart propulsive device for controlled satellite decommissioning and re-entry. The project is called D3. And they are with us since 2015. They secured 2 million euros. The company has launched, I think it was a couple of months ago, the first, so it also says on the slide, the first satellite with a fully functional independent decommissioning system. And although there were some hiccups, they were able to launch it, and it's actually a very successful project. It was also presented several times, and it is quite known within the space community. You can find further information on their site, theorbitaldevices.com. The guys are really successful, and I wish them all the luck, because they will soon finish the project with us, and will continue with other range of products as well as the other companies. Why did I present these companies? It is mainly to show all of you basically what this instrument is about. The program and the instrument is about making products and or services of a certain company come from a prototype stage to a stage of commercialization, basically, or pre-commercialization. And this is the main idea about the SME instrument, is about finding the most innovative products or services that can disrupt completely an existing market. And this is something that unifies all of the projects and companies in our portfolio. Now, a little bit more about the SME instrument. It's a very comprehensive scheme. So the SME instrument became, as of 1st of January 2018, part of the European Innovation Council. It's a pilot that has been adopted in the European Parliament. And you probably also heard a lot about it from the French President Macron. So within the European Innovation Council, we have several parts. SME instrument is by far the biggest one, money-wise and project-wise, but it also has other parts. So as Future Emerging Technologies Open, this used to be a self-standing program as well before 2018. And it's on the level of innovative ideas. So it's early technology readiness level stages. Then a second part that is also managed by our agency, executive agency for SMEs, it's Fast Track to Innovation, which is very similar to the SME instrument with a very, very significant difference, which is that it is open to all kinds of stakeholders. So there is no limitation on what kind of consortia you can actually make. Universities, research centers, big companies, and small and medium-sized enterprises can all actually become part of the FTI program. And basically everything else is quite similar to what SME Instrument is doing. So basically it is getting the product from a prototype to the pre-commercialization stage. Then you have our instrument, it's the SME Instrument, which is basically in 2 phases. And additional service that I'm going to be talking about before business acceleration services. But first about the phase 1. Phase 1 SME instrument is very simply a lump sum of 50,000 euros that we provide to our companies that apply and are selected, where there's no financial reporting. The companies just need to provide us with a feasibility study after the project is over. These are very small projects lasting from 3 to 6 months approximately. So there's no strings attached. We give you the money and you provide us with a feasibility study after the time. Of course, after you have been selected. Now, phase 2 is much, much bigger. Phase 2 projects and companies that are applying can request for up to 2.5 million of support. Co-financing is 70%. So 30% you have to have on your own, and we provide the additional 70%. And as mentioned before, it's about getting the product or service from TRL level 6 prototype to TRL level 9 pre-commercialization, commercialization. And then within the European Innovation Council, we also have soft planting, scale-up investment that are provided by other services, not by us, basically. You have the number of 1.4 billion on the slide because we're talking about the period between 2018 and 2020. The SME instrument was a little bit different before this period between 2014 and 2017, but I would not like to dwell too much on that one, as you can also ask me questions if you wish afterwards about the history of the SME instrument, or read the information on our website, which is going to be displayed at the end of the presentation. So, SME instrument is not only about smart money, I would say. It's about equity-free funding, as it mentions on the slide, but it's also about business coaching and acceleration services. So apart from the money that we give you for your very innovative project, we also provide you in both phase 1 and phase 2 projects with business coaching. What is business coaching? Business coaching is basically providing you with free advice that ranges from 3 days for phase 1 and up to 12 days for phase 2 projects. What is business coaching? Business coaching is not mentoring. What it provides is basically when your company during the project finds a certain lack, a niche, let's say, where your company is not strong enough, we can provide you with an expertise that comes from anywhere in the world and from any expert. I'm going to give you an example. You're a space companies developing products or services in Copernicus sector, and you are weak in your IPR. And you need an IPR expert that will provide you with solution for your problem within your business. And you have just won an SME instrument phase 2 grant. So you can find someone in this world. We contract that person for you, or you select it from our list of coaches, and you basically can use that person free of charge for the IPR issues that you might have in the company. this is just a short example that can basically be applied to any other issue that you have in the company, from your business needs to anything else. And then, of course, we also have something that is called business acceleration services. This is something in addition to the project, and it's very, very unique to the Horizon 2020 and even to FP7 or FP6 in the past. Basically, business acceleration services are provided to our projects during the duration of the project, but also after the end of the project. So basically, what does this mean? So the company gets the grant. We're with the company through the evaluation process, through the grant agreement process, through the review processes. And then comes and during the project duration, we already provided the company with different possibilities to attend different events, overseas trades and fairs, for example, or events organized by big companies like Airbus, that are corporate events. But we also provide the opportunities to all our SME instrument beneficiaries, even if the project is over, to participate in these events or to participate in an academy that we're going to be launching soon, where you would be able to improve your skills. For example, I'm just going to give you the example of IPR. Your company needs a bit of information and a bit of education on IPR. So we're going to be soon providing you with a course, which you will be able to attend online course about the IPR. That's the academy, for example. There's also other services that we can provide, but you can find much more about the business acceleration services also on our website under the part on the business acceleration. But if you're going to have more question about it, we can also discuss it later on. So how does it look alike from the evaluation point of view? So you've got the submission, like a submission of proposal, like in any other Horizon 2020 proposal. Then you have the remote evaluation, which is done by at least four experts from different fields. We select experts that have the technical background, business background, financial background, legal background. We have a lot of female expertise, meaning a lot of female experts as well. So gender balance is very well preserved there. Then the ranking of proposals follows after the remote evaluation. So the evaluation itself takes into account the three famous criteria from Horizon 2020, which is impact, excellence, and quality. After the evaluation, as I mentioned, we rank the proposals, and we have to draw a line somewhere where we don't have any more budget, and we grant the ones that are the most successful. The success rate usually is very, very low for the SME instrument. It's around between 2 to 4% for phase 2. And the companies that have received the grant usually need at least 14 out of 15 points. Then we have only for phase 2 the famous pitches or interviews. I'm going to be able to speak about it a bit later. We had the first pitches last 2 weeks ago. And it was quite an interesting experience. I was also participating in these pitches. I was the moderator of a jury of 6 members, all female, that had business and technical background. And it was quite interesting to see the pitches of the companies. The information they provided and the quality of them, they were all of quite a high quality, of course, because they were pre-selected. Pre-selected meaning that first we evaluated all more than 1,000 proposals that we received, and then we selected twice the number of projects that we can actually grant to be invited for the interview. Now, after this second phase interviews, or after phase 1, after remote evaluation, we send the information and we start the grant agreement procedure, of course. So the interviews themselves, how they are organized. You have the interview of the jury. As mentioned before, 6 juries composed of at least 5 experts. We had 6, as I mentioned before. So there's we have 1 hour per company. We do a very short jury briefing by the lead juror of 15 minutes. Then we have 30 minutes for the basically for the interview with the applicants, which consists of 10 minutes of a pitch. You have to be short and concise. During the pitch, we do not interrupt the applicant. Then the pitch is followed by the 20 minutes Q&A session. And then these 30 minutes are followed by jury debriefing, 15 minutes. During this debriefing, basically we decide whether we're going to fund the project or not, and we provided the comments within the system. Then we have the agreement on the list of projects proposed for funding, and we send the final list for approval. And then the applicants that have been successful and that have not been successful, they all receive the final note about whether they received the grant or not. About the juries distribution, as of 2018, as I mentioned before, I think we don't have any topics anymore. So it's completely bottom up, like FTI was from the beginning. And basically, we had six juries. First, we had 2 ICT juries, one in cybersecurity, the other one in financials. The second one in culture and creative industries, consumer products and services. Then we had a biotech, non-health, agriculture, food and beverages. Then we had energy, earth and environment jury, nanotech, manufacturing, engineering, construction, transport, space and security jury, and biotech and bioeconomy, health part, health tech. This is the one where I was present as well. I was not present in the space jury, unfortunately, but basically this doesn't make any difference, because it was mainly about, for me personally as well, knowing how these juries are going to be working. Now about the jury composition for phase 2, there were 88 members from 26 countries. Names are published and are public on our website. You can see it on the slide. And you can see that we had a lot of entrepreneurs, VCs, business angels, people with expertise in innovation support, influencers, corporate people, and so on. 76% of the jury members were female and 24% were male, which is also quite a big success on its own. A little bit about the portfolio performance of our companies, basically. I'm going to provide you with a bit of numbers here. So we're having 3,100 companies in our portfolio. So these are the companies that have received the grant either in phase 1 and phase 2. And out of 3,100, 860 are from phase 2. So you can see that it's quite a considerable amount of projects that we're working on and we're dealing with, and the number of companies that we are taking care of. So far we have distributed 1.3 billion euros. Here it says it's a 5 to 8% success rate. It varies from the previous topics that we had until 2017, and also from phase 1 to phase 2. So these are the last numbers. As mentioned before, there are 4 cutoffs per year. You have the dates about the cutoffs on our website. And here I'm presenting you with the companies by industry. You can see that the majority of our companies come from medical, healthcare, clean tech, energy, and transportation. It doesn't mean that this is not connected with space, because basically, as of 2018, when the companies and projects can come from whatever field, it doesn't make any importance to us anymore. Actually, many projects as before are actually could be put in several topics. Because, for example, I had a case where health and space were quite well connected, because I had a company and a project called SPUMP from Israel, where they developed the syringe for space for different types of exams and tests to be done in space. So you can see that you could probably see that there's no space mentioned per se in this diagram, but believe me that there are a lot of space companies in there as well. So a little bit about private equity investments during the project duration and after the projects have been concluded as well. So in total, since 2014, our 119 SME companies, both from phase 1 and phase 2, may I add, made together and they managed to get 697 million euros in additional money, which is quite an important number. You can see that the amount of money grew year by year, cutoff by cutoff. So it's a really good sign for the companies, because this is the main goal of the SME instrument, that in the end, the SME companies, SME instrument companies are successful, and they can make a lot of money with their products and services, which also represents a big success for us. We also had, regarding the exits, we also had 12 acquisitions since 2014, 6 IPOs, 250 million in private equity funding in 2017, and 1 billion euros in private follow-up in investments in total. So you can see that our instrument, the SME instrument, not only had and has a huge impact in Horizon 2020, but also has an impact for the companies themselves and the European Union economy in general. With this, I would like to conclude, and I would like to open the floors for any questions you might have. So go ahead by raising the hand. You can also use the chat if you want to. There's a chat available.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Umberto.
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. It was a very clear presentation. I knew the small and medium enterprise instrument, as I'm a consultant of I was a consultant on a few companies in the past. And the question is the following. Some of these clients got an evaluation for the SME 1 with a score of 12.7, 12.8 or 9, and they would like to resubmit. Will it be worthwhile to mention that this is a resubmission and that some specific areas have been improved, or would it be better not to mention that? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Umberto. The thing is that basically our experts and ourselves, we see that it is a resubmission. So there's no necessity to mention that it is a resubmission. Of course, it can be mentioned in the proposal. Again, it's not neither bad nor good, I would say. I mean, it's very neutral. So I mean, that is up to the company to mention whether they're resubmitting it, but we know that it is a resubmission.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. There's a question on the chat whether we're gonna send the presentation. The presentation is gonna be available.
It's recorded and it will be available as a video.
Yeah, it's gonna be available as a video, so this is fine. Do we have any other questions?
Well, sorry, if there's no one else, I may, if you don't mind, make another quick question.
Yeah, sure, just go ahead, and then we're gonna go to Razvan and Anna Cristina.
Okay, so for the acceleration service, is there a possibility to to candidate to provide these kind of services? Likewise for the business coach, how does it work? Thank you very much.
Okay, so basically the acceleration services are provided by us. So this is the additional non-monetary part of the SME instrument. So we provide the business acceleration services to the SME companies. And we have a package of these services available, and then they're going to be available soon, or they're already available. So it's up to the up to the companies, our beneficiaries, to decide which ones they want to choose from. I hope that was okay. I would now. I would now ask Razvan first to tell me the question.
Great. Good presentation, Gregor.
Thank you.
All good. Quick question. My company also plans to apply for Copernicus incubation funds. Can there be any conflict there?
The only thing that you have to make sure is that there's no double funding. So basically the project is not exactly the same. If the projects are different, then I don't see any problem with it.
Okay, let's say that we use the funds for different activities within the company.
Yeah,
that would mean that different projects.
Yes, as long, for us, the most important thing is that there's no double funding. That is the major thing, and basically double funding means that they are not exactly the same project. This is really, really important, and it is valid for all of the Horizon 2020. Huh? It's not just for SME Instrument.
I see. Okay, thank you very much for this.
Okay. Now we're gonna go to Anna Cristina. Just a second that we unmute you. Okay, go ahead, Anna Cristina. Okay, probably your microphone is not working. I'm gonna read out the question that you sent. Could you tell which level of the prototype we need to the phase 2? If I understood, in phase 1 we do not need a prototype. No, actually you do need a prototype for both phases, because up to 2017 anyway, it was like that. In 2018, the work program changed, and it's not specifically required anymore in the work program. But for phase 2, the level of the prototype needs to be on the technology readiness level 6, which means that you have to have a working prototype of a service or a product. And for phase 1, the obligation of the prototype, it's no longer there, basically. So you don't need you don't need to have a prototype anymore. We have a question about the prototype again. The prototype could be only a minimum viable product. Yeah, it really depends, basically, because the experts are going to have a look at it. And basically the main point about the SME instrument is that you have a working prototype that you get it to the pre-commercialization stage afterwards. So yeah, I think that it could be a minimum viable product as well, because we had similar cases in the past as well. So I think that this would be allowed. Okay, it seems that we don't have any more questions. So I would like to thank you for your attention and wish you a lovely afternoon. All the best, and thank you again. Bye-bye.